Welcome to Sonic Seekers, where we get to know musicians on a deeper level and get to hear a little bit about what's important to them and also hear some of their music. I'm your host, Emily Schuler, and this podcast is for musicians and music lovers alike. Do you identify as a music nerd? Are you one of those people that likes to annoy your friends with little-known facts about songs and artists? Do you get excited when someone hands you their aux cord on a road trip? Do you rarely hand your cord to someone on a road trip? And if you do, they really know that you love them? Do people hate playing Name That Tune against you? This podcast is probably for you if you answered yes to any of those questions. It's probably for you if you can't stand small talk but love to have deep and meaningful conversations. Join me as I take a deep dive into the minds of incredibly talented musicians as we search for deeper meaning and purpose in life through music. We're here with the Safety Training Band. Today I have a co-host, Dusty Brown. He is a filmmaker, musician, writer extraordinaire, and I don't want to be in my own echo chamber forever, so I decided to start having co-hosts every once in a while. So Dusty is my first ever co-host, and I'm excited to have somebody to bounce ideas off of and contribute to the conversation, so it's not just me saying in every episode how Radiohead and Deftones are my favorite bands.
Still did it.
Had to sneak it in somehow. And so, like I said, we've got Safety Training here. We've got Nick Rhodes, who is the vocalist and guitarist. We've got Mike Martinez, who's a guitarist as well. Dustin Harris on drums, and Ben White on the bass. And Mike and I grew up across the street from each other. We've known each other for a long time. And I've known Ben for a long time, back from our debauchery days at the Alabama Music Box. Oh, yeah. The days Party of fun times. And debauchery. Can you guys just tell us a little bit about how you started playing music together?
Sure. Yeah, I'll kick it off. So grew up on, hardcore metal, going to shows at the Box all through college. Played in some, heavier bands. One with Mike, actually, kind of a southern heavy band. Segued into playing bar gigs, acoustic, and singing, John Mayer covers in the corner somewhere. And but along the way, 10 years passed after that. We all grew up, got older, and about a decade later, I started picking away on the acoustic and was like, man, I've got 100 10-second pieces of different songs, and threw some stuff up there. And that's how Mike and I got connected. It was one of his songs. He said, hey, I really like that song you put out. One thing led to another. He came and I said, well, you want to do some lead stuff? We'll shoot a little video in the garage, and kind of went from there. And as we wrote a couple together, Mike was like, these are full band songs.
Yeah.
We probably should find somebody for drums. And yeah.
Yeah, I was fangirling kind of hard. I'm not going to lie. Whenever he first released a couple songs that I heard, and it was just him on acoustic, I listened to it. I was like, man, this is some really good stuff. And I remember messaging you on Facebook about it a couple times, and I remember you hit me up on Facebook randomly, and you were going to be doing some sort of Tiny Desk concert almost. Yep. And then you're like, hey, you want to come play guitar for this with me? And next thing you know, we're doing that, and it goes well. And then afterwards, I don't know, it just kind of, blossomed from there.
Yeah.
So then, kind of like you said, we started writing some music together, and one thing led to another, and then, hey, this is some full band stuff, and now we're here.
I think our last song we co-wrote, that was it for the acoustic thing. We're like, let's find some people, and I'll let Dustin kind of share how I met him.
I might be the odd man out. I think everyone's kind of known each other, even you before this. We all have a mutual friend. I think he might have played tambourine for you,
We
right?
did a couple of sessions.
So
yeah.
we all kind of grew up in the same area, but didn't know each other. We're all the same age, same. I went to Daphne, or I went to Fairhope, and they went to Daphne. But I sold a Bowflex on Facebook Marketplace to just randomly to that tambourine player, Michael Gibney, a friend of all of ours, and it was supposed to be just a standard, hey, meet me in the driveway, get the Bowflex, get out of, transactional, right? Instead, we just like hit it off for some reason. And I don't know how it came up, but I mentioned that I play drums or whatever, and
Instagram videos.
Yeah. So anyway, he's just a friendly dude who bases his life around networking, I think. And so we just kind of hit it off. I think we grabbed coffee once or twice. And I had been posting
romance.
like some drum videos to my Instagram, because similarly, I think we've all been playing for, years and years, but, I've mostly been playing by myself I've been trying to build up a little studio or whatever, just do whatever I can. Mm-hmm. And some time went by, and then we all just kind of connected when Nick started looking for more people to play. And we were talking about like the importance of networking earlier. That's like full testament. It's just like happen to be in the right place at the right time. Maybe know the right people, and just all kind of connects seemingly randomly.
It all started with a Bowflex.
Yeah, it all started. Shout out Bowflex.
Yeah, a Bowflex
Appreciate
on
you
Craigslist.
sponsoring my career. And similarly, like Nick's got this library that we're able to pull from, so we're not starting from scratch. I think is a really important thing that kind of sets us apart from just coming back to wanting to play music after 10 years. Mm-hmm. We're not at the ground level, which I think has made it really approachable, given that we all have families and such limited bandwidth.
So then Ben came in.
Yeah, just I saw a post on Facebook from Nick that was just like, hey, anybody looking for a bass player? And it's like, I had in my head for a while, I'd been like, man, I would love to play music again, but I had done like, a career change and gone back to school and done all this stuff, so it had kind of fallen by the wayside for a long time. And then I was like ready to kind of get back out there and do something enjoyable again. Saw the Facebook post, hit him up, and it was like, oh yeah, this is fun. Like I do enjoy doing this. They should do it more.
and Ben and I went to high school together, so we were, like he said, we're all from the same area, so we knew each other. And you reached out on the post, and I was like, I remembered, because I think I played a disc golf tournament years ago and like stayed at your place.
Oh yeah,
in Tallahassee. And I was like, wait, yeah, bass. Like I plucked around on his bass after that disc golf tournament, and so I was like, yeah, come over. And it was one take, and he was taking notes. And he's like, all right, well, so this is the first song. What key are we in? I'm like, I don't know. And Ben's taking notes. We're like, yeah, but he's in.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
He's good.
There's some takeaways from that, man. Like the fact that you guys are all in your 30s. Most people when they start
20s,
bands, 20s. Sorry, we're all in their 20s. These young bucks.
Yeah, that's right.
But
If we stand up, the knee pop is
none of you are exactly. None of you are 15, 16 in the garage right now. You might still be in the garage, but you're not. In high school. And like you were saying, it's serendipitous to me because there's so many people out there that's, my life's already over. I'm stuck at this dead end job. I'm this, I'm that. And so few people take the leap, So it's really cool to get y'all's story and hear that you guys are men with families. You're not children playing, which is not a bad thing. But I'm just saying, you guys, like you were saying, you're way beyond the ground level.
That's been really cool for me too. I think we've kind of taken that. I don't want to say grown up. I don't want to say grown up approach, but like the first conversation we had, I think Nick kind of like went through my Instagram and like said, okay, maybe this would be a decent fit. And we had like a phone call, like a phone screening, like interview and we right out of the gate established
my credit before
right out of the gate, he was like, hey, we all have families. We're trying to get together a couple of times a month. Like we kind of laid out a semi-structured approach to it. And so that's what's made it more sustainable, I think, is that like right now we're trying to practice at least every other Sunday or every other weekend. So at least we've got like this fallback schedule. And if we can in between, great. But it's been like we've got independent schedules going on, and then we don't have to worry about like texting last minute or whatever. Like we have something that we can kind of dial in. And not just be so free form about it. And I think that schedule's helped and gotten support from our families too. Because when I'm here right now, so my wife's watching my daughter. It's a give and take. So it makes that whole thing more approachable.
It comes with the wisdom of getting older and realizing that things are easy, a lot easier when you have a plan.
With being a grown up, it's like, all right, if I'm gonna miss practice, I am gonna at least go over the couple things of like, hey, what'd y'all work on, and like kind of stay caught up rather than just like, I'm gonna play hooky and do whatever. Today.
Well, speaking of being grown ups, what are all of y'all's day jobs?
So I run my own business. I'm a distributor. I sell Little Debbie products. Shout out to Little Debbie.
Bring me some of them Christmas tree cakes.
I got you. I should have. I just
brownies, dog.
Yeah. So I live in Pensacola. So I work out there and I sell to all these major retailers. So been doing that for a little while, and me and my family live in Pensacola. These guys are over here, obviously, but yeah, that's what I do.
What about you, Nick? What's your day job?
Yeah, so I am I'm in the 401k space. So I sell corporate retirement plans all over Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Florida Panhandle. So travel a little bit,
Yeah.
Post-COVID, I got a little hybrid. A lot of people do some video calls and stuff. So yeah, got 2 little ones, 3 and 5 years old, both boys, and wife at home. So that's a little bit about what I do.
Ben, I know you're an accountant.
Yeah, the bass playing of careers. That's exactly what it is. It's perfect. It's just, support in the background, be there. Nothing works without it. But you're there. Not everybody notices it. But yeah,
perfect.
just
Chef's kiss.
Shifted into that. Wanted something to, just occupy its time that didn't consume my whole life. Like I was in the mortgage business previously, and
I know that was a huge time consumer.
At,
for
11:30 at night, you're thinking like you come up with something that's like, oh, did I do that? This deal's gonna fall through. I'm not gonna make any money. These people are gonna be homeless. This is gonna be the worst. Yeah. So I wanted to get away from that and shifted into accounting, and it's been awesome.
Yeah. Nice. What about you, Dustin?
So I work in technology. I've always worked in IT. Right now, I work with cloud computing. So I work for like corporate tech. I work with counties and cities doing cloud computing type infrastructure stuff. So IT, server management, stuff like that. So kind of like a technical consultant kind of space. Also have children like Nick and Mike. I've got a 4-year-old daughter, and I've been married for 10 years now.
Congratulations.
Nice.
Shout out
How'd you pull that off since we're in our 20s?
That's true. I got married really early. I actually did meet my wife, and we have different takes on who tells the story. We've known each other since like middle school, but we didn't start dating until like at the end of college. So she's more aligned to the 10-year span. I'm more aligned to this 20-year romantic kind of thing.
What are y'all's musical influences? And I specifically told her I wanted to ask this question because there's a band that you guys remind me of that I'm not going to mention until I hear y'all's answer.
Interesting.
Suddenly, starting to feel this again. I can't breathe, and everything closes in. I know gray sky will pass by, but it's just been a long time since we felt fine.
We come from a wide background, I think. I know it's just from me speaking, man, I'm into like heavy stuff. I'm in probably one of my favorite bands right now, Peeling Flesh. Shout out Peeling Flesh. Man, you guys are awesome, guys like that. But I also, I'm into like, Under Oath and let's work our way down to Incubus and let's work our way down to John Mayer. Sometimes I'm listening to those guys. So I mean, it's all over the place. But here recently, man, I think this kind of music, big influence for me is probably Emarosa. Man, those guys.
Is that the one?
Nope.
Okay. All right.
Close but no cigar.
Okay.
Yeah, Emarosa, man. Those guys have kind of influenced me on a couple things, just what we're doing.
Yeah, we haven't really talked about that too much, but I think we are like really varied. So I'm typically not that into the heavier stuff, but I don't know. I think I'm pretty across the board. Like I really just have been consuming the Fall of Troy for the better part of 15 years and Coheed and Cambria, but at the same time, like Sufjan Stevens and Death Cab for Cutie. And so I don't know. Sometimes I listen to like George Strait, Ace in the Hole or whatever. So I don't know. I'm kind of all over the board, but I think that plays to our advantage a little bit that we can kind of span more so just kind of pigeonholed in.
Yeah. Coheed and Cambria, my absolute favorite band of all time. Also, like, just the whole general emo scene of, 2000s, 2010s.
Oh,
yeah.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
Brand New, Taking Back Sunday, that kind of stuff.
My
was
Chemical
also
Romance.
my
Oh my
favorite.
gosh.
And then I liked, like, the Mars Volta at the
Oh,
drive-in,
man.
that kind of stuff. I would go deep on that. That was
Yeah, I think
all
Coheed,
of my favorite stuff.
I think Coheed got me into drumming. Coheed and like AFI.
Yeah.
And then even like Tegan and Sarah, and then like some albums, I'd realized way later that some of those musicians played on each other's albums, like the bassist from AFI and the producer from Death Cab, I think, played on one of.
I love
So
connecting those
it's- yeah,
dots
it's
whenever
weird.
you like start going down rabbit holes of different bands, and like I just learned recently that Johnny Greenwood from Radiohead composed like these amazing film scores that I didn't
Right,
even realize. Like There Will Be Blood, he composed that film score.
Oh.
But once you start
love
like
that.
diving into bands and finding like, oh, this person played on this album, this person did background, it's
And
I
also
love it.
super wholesome because they're all friends.
Yeah.
It's like you gotta relate to these bands, and you find out that they also like each other. And
Yeah.
it just kind of connects the dots for you too.
So what about you, Nick?
Yeah, I would say for
Influences?
me, it's like Mike, it varies across the board. I will say newer stuff that I've been listening to, Bill Murray. So shout out to Bill Murray. And Poison the Well, so, some old hardcore influences.
Nice.
Yeah, sure.
But I would say, I started on like rap as a kid, went to country, like 90s country, super into country, and then got into like the radio rock stuff. And then Poison the Well was my first album in the 8th grade that I got
Right
a
on.
hold of. And I was like, what is this?
Yeah.
And then it went from there to like all the heavier stuff, like you're talking about, like Poison the Well, but then to the emo stuff, like Taking Back Sunday, Early November. Love Early November. That's the Room Is Too Cold album got stuck in my CD player in high school. So that's probably why you'll hear some like emo influence in the vocals, but we also have some of that heavy influence. And then the Coheed stuff kind of will bring us into like another flavor mixed in with the heavier stuff with John Mayer, because I played in cover bars for a while too, in the corner of John Mayer covers and
I
Dave
think John Mayer
Matthews.
really connects us all here.
Yeah.
John Mayer is like the
John Mayer and
everyone
Bowflex.
has to respect him.
So yeah, she was getting ready to, research you guys and all that jazz, and she played one of your songs, and I was thinking to myself, is that Emery's new album?
Emery, okay.
I'm a big fan of Emery.
I love Emery.
I just watched them.
I knew you liked Emery.
Yeah,
I
them and
adore
the
them.
Almost.
Yeah.
Just watched those guys not too long ago.
Nice. Yeah, your voice definitely it matches. It definitely sounds like Emery to me. Like all of you sound like Emery, but what was the selling point for me when I first heard was the second song you guys played.
Yeah.
That was the one, and I was just like, did Emery drop a new song? Are they about to drop a new album? Like, what the fuck?
Those guys are super talented, man.
Dude, oh my
Those
God.
guys are super talented. And
Oh my
they
God.
have some real cool soft stuff and some cool
Yeah,
hard stuff. They're
they can-
everywhere, man.
Exactly.
I don't know if
Exactly.
it has anything to do with in the last 3 years. I've seen him like 3 or 4 times live. So maybe
Really?
subconsciously.
Oh, yeah.
I don't
I'm
listen.
jealous.
I
I
don't
have
listen
not
to him
seen
in
them
the
yet.
car a ton, but I
do.
like them. I used to listen to him a bunch, but yeah, maybe subconsciously that filtered in from seeing him live
Yeah.
so much.
We've gotten it from a lot of people that how many people have said we sound like Emerosa?
Like an Emerosa
that one
feel, which
song.
I love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, I won't really.
Yeah.
Maybe just kind
See, I
of.
thought you were about to say Emery when you
I
said
did
Emery.
too.
I was like,
No.
When he started
Close.
saying that, I
Close
thought
but
it
no
too.
cigar.
wish. I
We'll
wish.
clarify older Emerosa.
Yeah, older
that.
Emery, yeah, correct.
Their newer stuff's a little poppy.
I haven't really
like it.
listened to them, so I wrote down a note to myself to
Oh,
check
man.
them out.
Yeah,
Yep.
those guys are good. Emery's good. I mean, those guys are all fantastic at what they do.
Under Oath was my band that got me into harder stuff.
Okay.
Oh, dude,
That was my
that's-
band that was like, what is this?
What was it? Chasing Safety?
Yeah, it was they're only chasing
Only
safety,
Chasing
and then
Safety.
there's 2 songs from the album right before that where Octavio was their guitarist. I cannot remember the names of them right now. One had to do with the sun burning, burning bright. That one.
Not Opposites December. That's Poison the Well.
You know what I'm talking.
Changing of Times.
Yes, that one. And then they came out with Define the Great Line, and that was, I think that was my high school, senior year of high school, and I hated it. I
Really?
hated it. I don't know why. Like, because I listen to it now and I love it. But like when it first came out, I was just like, I hated it. So
Yeah.
I just stayed in. They're only chasing safety for a good long while, and then I just started branching off into other stuff.
And they kind of got into like, they started segue into a little bit like Coalesce style. Like
yeah,
the band
now they've got
Coalesce.
some almost
And now they've gone a completely different
electronica
direction.
type
Yeah.
stuff that I mean I love electronica. I'm a cyberpunk junkie, so anything
Yeah.
synth I'm gonna be like, oh.
Yep.
But with Under Oath, it didn't match with me the way I felt that it should, but there's plenty of other bands for that.
And you said that was part of the reason why you got into heavy music?
Yeah, Under Oath is the reason I got
That's
into
awesome.
heavy music. And Creed is what got me stopping listening to radio rock.
Yeah, no, I get it.
But I grew up in Stone County, Mississippi, which is like 40 minutes north of the beach.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'll put it this way, the racism has died down, but the meth labs have increased, right? So it was country, or pop. And that was it. And I was like, I'm done with both of them. I'll never listen to them again. And I keep my country to like outlaw. Give me an old guy depressed with a guitar and like a dead dog next to him.
Outlaw country is the only real country in my book.
There you go.
It's not Americana.
I've interviewed
It's
2
country.
outlaw country artists over the last couple of weeks. So it's been cool because that's the only country I really like too. I like some 90s country, but
So what are the goals?
Outlaw country and Dolly.
yes, dude, yes. I'm obsessed with Dolly, and I have the same birthday as her too.
Oh, wonderful.
So,
She also has the same birthday as Mr. Poe.
yeah, Edgar Allan Poe, Janis Joplin, Dolly Parton. I've got some really cool birthday
Oprah
twins.
Winfrey.
That's a stacked birthday.
Yeah,
I've got, I think, Benedict Cumberbatch.
nice.
Nice.
Benadryl Cumberbund.
I have Evangeline Lilly, the girl that played Kate in Lost, in The Wasp. Yeah, I'm totally fine to share a birthday with her. But anyway, so what's y'all's goal for the band? Like overall, just if you had to pinpoint it into something, even if it's just we want to have a good time. Like what's the
I would like to keep playing music.
yeah?
That's kind of that's just driving me, you know.
Yeah, it's kind of just nice to have like a little bit of a creative outlet again and collaborating with people rather than, just like fiddling on a guitar in your office in your off time. Like it's a nice thing to be able to share something in a creative space.
Yeah.
Not something everybody has
thing.
the opportunity to do. So
Yeah, I would say for me, it was kind of a how I started just a couple years ago back in the acoustic and writing again was just like overwhelming life stuff and work and I love my job, but you get busy.
Yeah, the rat
Jack.
race.
There's never been a moment where I'm playing a guitar and singing where I'm like stressed out.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's like, do this if you're feeling kind of anxious or whatever, like, and
It's therapy.
yeah, it's therapy for sure. As far as goals with it, like that's kind of how it started. You always question yourself when you're recording these little clips and you're like, it's not good enough, not good enough, not good enough. And finally I just said, it doesn't matter, just do it.
Yeah.
And if it's decent, it's decent. But as far as goals, now that we're a band, I mean, I'm like Dustin, like, and you, like, creative outlet, just want to keep playing music. Maybe be a little weekend warrior from time to time and play some out of town shows and wherever it takes us. My main goal is to keep cranking out songs and trying to make it sound better and better.
Yeah, I mean, I took some time off, honestly, from guitar for a long time. I actually stopped going to live shows for a while. I just kind of did the whole family thing and put a lot of time and effort into my family and into work and all. But then I started going to some shows and I was like, I feel like I should be on that side.
Yeah.
And then it got to a point where I was like, I really want to start doing some live shows. So that's when we all started getting together, me and Nick, and then it blossomed into all of us. But I know for me, I definitely enjoy the feeling of playing on stage and playing for people, and then the music that we're putting out. We're doing our best to put out the best kind of music we can.
Yeah.
Not only for us but for the listeners as well. So yeah, I mean, just playing some live shows, doing the best we can, and kind of like Nick said, be some weekend warriors here and there. We get a little small 3-day, 4-day tour. Like, let's go do it if we have the opportunity. Like, it'll be fun. But just to put out the best material possible.
Yeah, I think the nostalgia hits hard.
Yes.
And I think we've all been where we have used to play music and then didn't at all because life or time or whatever, and now we have this kind of inkling of like a little flame that we can just actually play some if we like kind of put, like, going back to the schedule, like if we put effort into a moderate amount of effort into it, then we don't have to just become dormant again in it. And I think also a lot of us are working towards the battle of having our kids think we're kind of cool.
Yeah.
I mean, like, that's a real struggle, and like if we can get like that out of this, and I'm like,
I thought
that's
I
kind
was
of
safe
neat.
with that, being a filmmaker. It's like daddy makes movies. Nope. As soon as puberty hit, my boy's like, he ain't cool.
I know
Yeah,
this
we're
might turn my
cringe.
daughter off to music entirely, so I might have the wrong.
is your music Ohio or is it Skippity?
Can we take that out? Can we take that out? Cut that out.
I would like.
I don't even know what either of those mean. I don't have kids. I've got dogs.
Well, you're good. You're on the mark.
halfway
Yeah.
I would like to say too, like to your point, is like I think we've all practiced together maybe 4 times. Like
Wow.
technically,
Yeah.
4 or 5 times since Ben
I'd say
came in.
5.
So you know,
That's crazy.
It's, to your point about nostalgia, we're shaking the rust off and we're trying to do it quick. But
Well, it sounds like you guys practice like
Yeah.
once a week or more.
Sounds like the rust has already come off.
Yeah.
Like sincerely.
Why can't I take this song in stride? I don't feel alive. I'm mine.
The good thing is, I mean, like, since we're all, you know, we've done it before, it's when you're practicing now, it's like, you know, the formula of like what you need to do. It's not just like noodling around and doing it aimlessly. It's
Yeah.
like, all right, we're gonna do this one 6 times in a row, and that sounded a little off. Let's push this, and then do it, and it's like, perfect. That sounds good. Let's do it again.
She won't live tonight. She won't live inside my mind. She won't live tonight. She won't live inside my mind.
Yeah.
So we know how to get it down to a.
Yeah.
This is gonna date me
Portable song now.
so hard, but also we record when we practice. Like we'll just stand up a tripod with a phone or whatever, and we'll just record a lot of it, and then, you know, that really helps. Like after we leave, looking back, trying to find clips. Hey, this sounded cool. This sucked. Whatever. And so
That's really
we have a
smart
lot
to
of
do that.
more turnkey tech that we can use compared to 15 years ago. And
Yeah.
I get real romantic about the Postal Service band and how they used to like literally mail each other demos or whatever.
True? Is that?
Yeah.
always heard
And then
that
they
too,
turn into Death Cat, and if it's not true, it's still super romantic. And
Yeah.
but we almost
We're
like
gonna
do
pretend
the
it's
same
true,
kind of
even
thing.
if it's not.
Nick will shoot over something in our group text, and then we'll play around with it, or I'll record something to it and send it back. And so, even though we might not be in person together, a couple of times a week, we're still every day some kind of communications happening.
Yeah, y'all are still thinking about it and working on it on your own time.
I'm gonna
so-
have to upgrade my iCloud storage because of these
Oh shit,
guys.
that's a real problem.
I was just about to say when you're saying that, I was like, I paid Apple a lot of money for that 2 terabyte service.
Yeah,
It keeps running out too. It's like in the middle of the song, it's like, well, I didn't get that on video.
Yeah, I'm paying a lot of money
I'm
for
gonna say we
iCloud
sounded
storage
good.
right now too.
I know. Yeah, we'll play for like 15 minutes straight and then go check it, and either we didn't hit record or
yeah.
we ran out of iCloud. Or
That's
whatever.
why I asked you earlier. I was like, "Did you hit record?" Because that gimbal thing is
Yeah.
really tricky.
Yeah.
Yeah, I end up
iPhone
talking.
users.
I end up talking to a lot of my guests that I interview about the notion that you guys were talking about with having that creative outlet, and just the concept that as creative people, we need something that feels fulfilling in our lives. Like, I mean, most normal, quote unquote, normal people can go to a 9 to 5 and go to work every day and then come home and watch TV and go to bed and like be okay and like be fulfilled by that. But I feel like people with creative leaning, like we have to have something of substance to sink our teeth into. Like we're working on starting a band too. Like it's going to be a lot because I'm in school working, doing the podcast. He's working and doing writing projects and all this stuff. But like we've been wanting to do music together for so long. Like,
Yeah, we
real.
got together to start a band and fell in love with each other in the process. So
We never did a band.
This whole original thing was we're gonna do a band.
Let us know.
We're
We'll,
doing life together.
We'll interview you guys.
None of you guys better fall in love with me.
Same thing. Exact same thing happened.
So yeah, I feel like, and I had a like 10-year hiatus where I didn't write anything. I wrote music a lot when I was in my early 20s and played open mics. And then Nick, like you were saying, like all this crazy life stuff started happening. My addiction got worse. I started doing stupid shit all the time. And I don't know, I had a mental block. I would pick up the guitar and mess around with it every once in a while. But now that I'm actively writing music and doing music again, and we're in the process of starting a band, it just feels so good.
Yeah, there's some the tangible aspect of, like, Nick's done all the legwork on getting something on streaming platforms, for example, and the two actionable things I think are playing live shows and then having some library on streaming platforms where people can actually like consume it and you can like see metrics on it, which is really cool. But yeah, just having that kind of tangible aspect where it kind of like grounds you and say, okay, here's something to actually work towards, which I think is cool. I don't know if we put that in the column for motivating, but I think it would be really cool to have that library exist out.
Yeah.
And just say, hey, we did this.
I think my goal is really just to have songs that people sing along to live, even if it's 10 people, if it's 500, awesome.
Yeah.
But like when we write these, it's kind of one of those deals where like we're not writing super complicated technical stuff here. We could, but we want to write stuff with meaning
that people
resonates
can
with people.
Connect to.
And
Yeah.
I want people to sing along and feel something.
Yes.
Like, and that's when we go into songwriting, it's like, how does this make you feel? You know, they say it's not always what you say in a meeting, it's how you make somebody feel.
Yeah.
And it's the same for music. And you got to be good enough, but you know, again, so I think that's my goal, is just like have sing-alongs.
Yeah.
I like that.
So the notion of all this songwriting, what is y'all's actual songwriting process? Or do you have one?
Yeah.
Depends on the song.
I mean, I'll just jump in. Nick's got, like we said earlier, kind of an existing
Stockpile.
library. Yeah, stockpile of, and I'm the same way. I've got just an infinite scrollable list of like music memos on my phone where just from years of these like 20-second snippets, or like, you know, you're in your kitchen and sounds cool, let me record it and never look at it again, kind of stuff. And so him having that is just a huge leg up to where we can, I mean, we're playing a show very soon, and you know, we're trying to, what else can we play kind of thing, and we're just kind of looking through the library, and so Nick will surface something he's already got, or some start, at least a jumping off point, and then it just kind of, most of it comes out when we practice.
Yeah, I mean, he'll typically throw something out there in the universe, and then I'll hear it. So back home, I'm just like, you know what? I'll come up with something with this. And then next thing you know, Dustin's like, all right, I got something for this too. And then Ben's, you know, he's Ben. He just already knows what to do.
I like to exist somewhere between the guitar and the drums. So I come in, I'm like, what are you doing? And what are you doing?
He'll come up here
and try and
is that a G sharp?
That's what you do with the bass player. I mean, you find the space between what
He's over here writing notes and stuff. And I'm like, wow, okay.
I will say though, like inside my mind, we really did all co-write that. Some of them, it's like, hey, I have this. What can you add? And you add, and you add, and they write their parts, right? But inside my mind, we co-wrote, because you kind of came up with this first couple of like licks, and I'm like, okay, I can back off guitar a little bit. But what if we did this for the rhythm for the chorus and we switch, you know? And then Ben came in, and he had just joined, and we'd kind of had part of that song, I believe. And Ben comes in and is like, what if we have a break here? And then we just all back out, and I come back in and do this, and then you wrote your drum part. So it is a co-writing, but like just being, you know, again, if we ever need like more songs, we all have libraries, and we might take some of our acoustic stuff and kind of like turn it full band.
Yeah.
And it'll be completely different, but it's nice to kind of have a starting point, not just go to the room and be like, what should we do?
Yeah.
And it's easy. Honestly, like, it's easy to write with these guys.
Yeah. Y'all
So
definitely have a great
wholesome.
chemistry
Yeah,
together.
They're all
Love it.
you know, you guys are all talking about like what motivates and, you know, what's inspirational and stuff like that. Like, these guys are pretty inspirational and pretty motivating.
Yeah.
You know, not to get too sappy here.
Nobody's a super diva of like, hey, what if we try this? And then
Oh yeah, they're like, no,
no, I'm not
you are
changing
not allowed to
anything.
do
I
that.
think we're all just happy to be here. And not to draw a parallel to work, but I'll do it anyway. So I work remotely. I'm very, very staunchly against return to office. Okay,
Yeah.
so let me just say that. But there are concepts that just work so well with, when we return to office and go practice every other weekend. Like there's the writing comes out whenever we're together and we, play something, hey, that sounds cool, or hey, not, or whatever, that interjections where we stop playing and say, hey, do that again, or whatever that process is, you can't really replicate just doing what I said earlier, like sending, we'll come up with stuff in person and then we'll dial it in maybe separately, but we're not going to have that, hey, stop doing that, or this is cool, or whatever, unless we're together too.
And what's really cool, and y'all correct me if I'm wrong and just throw the correct band name in here, but like me and Mike have similar-ish backgrounds with the heavy stuff. Y'all listen to heavy stuff too. Mike is getting into that like kind of deathcore maybe world.
Yeah, sure.
I like a little bit of that, but then I like emo. Like I'm huge on like Midwest emo too, and listening to it all the time. So you might filter into the writing, but so I've got that and kind of the emo post-hardcore stuff going on. And then correct me if I'm wrong, Ben, but you're big on Coheed.
Big on Coheed.
Fall of Troy.
And I was big in like thrash metal at some point, but most recently it's just still been a return to emo phase, man. There was never a phase.
So where I'm going with that is when we're writing, it's kind of cool because me and Mike are like, well, what if we have a part on this next one we're doing like gun, 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 gun.
Yeah.
And then Ben's coming in with do 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 do, and something, and he's doing right. And I'm like, oh, well, that's not like what that deathcore band does. They just go boom, open one note, but it works well because it kind of brings in a different style, merging all those styles. And that's my takeaway. If I'm wrong, speak up.
I left out Modest Mouse is a big for me too. I consumed a lot of Modest Mouse. I think that was the first concert I went to in high school.
I love Modest Mouse.
So I don't know. They have a lot of like percussion based, like really well spaced drumming, and from them I try to take like a lot of like less is more kind of. Because I don't ever default to like, hey, let's put a breakdown here.
Correct.
But having each other steer it in a different direction is really cool.
Yeah, y'all have got like a beautiful conglomeration of different styles of music and very efficient practice and songwriting process. So it makes sense that you only like practice in person a couple.
Amalgamation of decadence.
Yes, indeed. Yes. It makes sense that it sounds so good.
Because you said Modest Mouse, and I've been listening to y'all's influences. Are any of you familiar or listen to Mute Math?
Yes.
I had a feeling you kind of look like a Mute Math type.
I can't remember what they look like. I saw them at Voodoo Fest in New Orleans long time ago.
Yeah.
Don't remember what he looks like, but the mayor went up and played some weird computer thing on stage with him at the time. It was weird. Can't remember what he looks like, but I'm going to say thank you.
Yeah, it's a compliment. It's total rabbit trail, but it's a compliment. We can get back to it.
Yeah, there's a fine line with like math rock and stuff like that, where at some point for me it just turns into like work to some degree. Like I like stuff that you can like really like sink into, and I'm trying to find that balance of not.
You can't
for the sake of
math
it.
rock.
Yeah,
you gotta work to math rock.
Yeah.
You can't groove to math
You can't feel it. Well, you can feel it, but it's hard to just vibe with it.
I deal with numbers at work. I don't want to deal with numbers. That's it.
Same.
I like that.
Same.
I got into technical metal about a decade ago, yeah. And there's this one called Ain't Up Sastry, which if you replace it's Anus Pastry. But
Okay.
one dude plays all the instruments, and it's gent essentially, but it's like I read Salem's Lot to this album on repeat. Like it was just that intense to me. But I definitely like them, and I like Mute Math. But I say all that to say is I could easily see you guys kind of throw, not necessarily gent, but like throw in some math without having to do your counting and shit. You know what I mean?
Have you guys ever listened to Pinback?
Yeah,
I think I mentioned Pinback. I think that's kind of in
Our
the mix
friend
a little
Emily
bit, too.
that is going to be in our band with us just told us about Pinback the other day, and
Such
I've
a
been
huge
listening
library
to
to go
them.
through.
I love
I'm
them.
jealous of it. Yeah, I don't know how active they are currently or not, but they go way back. Yeah.
Yeah. What's the song? There was a song that I really liked. It started with an R. I can't remember, but I listened to it like 4 times in one day by them. But yeah, I really like them.
You mentioned Midwest emo. I traditionally haven't been that into, or I just wasn't exposed to it, and I'm consuming so much Midwest emo in the form of Instagram playing on top of like Lord of the Rings scenes.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
I relate to it so hard, and it makes it like so heavy to me. But just like that guitar over just like Gandalf talking about
Yes,
whatever.
I've seen those.
I'm the same way, especially when it's like Rob Zombie over the new Matilda musical. And I save every reel I can find that has like any type of music in some scene that doesn't match, just so I can go back one day and just be like,
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, there was one with some nuns. They were all like playing music in a church, but it was some metal song that was playing over it, and it actually like fit all together, and it was amazing. I loved it.
Yeah.
I think we should all, I don't know, American Football, the band. There's that classic House on the front album, like their big album, and it's an Airbnb now.
Nice.
Nice.
None of what you heard sounds like Midwest emo. I listened to it. One of their new songs we're working on kind of does.
Yeah. Next one.
But it would be really cool to rent that out and just write some stuff there for like a week. But anyway, just
Yeah, a little retreat, songwriting retreat.
it's like Chili Peppers recorded an album in a haunted house, and I can't remember which member of it.
That's cool.
Black Sabbath did that in a haunted castle, and
It
like
wasn't-
literally were losing their minds.
Yeah, one of the guys from Red Hot Chili Peppers wouldn't stay overnight. He would go there and record. I can't remember which one. Wasn't the lead singer. It was one, and it wasn't Flea. It was one of the other guys. But yeah, he wouldn't record with. He would record, but he would not stay there. And I'm a ghost hunter for funsies
Nice.
on the side.
Just
And
casually.
I used to be I used to be terrified, like astronomically terrified. Like
Yeah,
I
it's
could
not for
not
me.
watch my cousin play Mario on the original Nintendo and go into the boo house. I would flip.
See, I'd have just left the haunted house because I couldn't deal with a haunted bathroom. I don't want to do my business in the in the presence of another.
I don't know. There's the notion of additional musical influence in that type of stuff, though.
Yeah, when Black Sabbath was staying at that castle, it was during the time that they had, what's his name? Ian something. He was the singer in Deep Purple, but he sang with Black Sabbath for a while. And he wouldn't stay in the house either. He would get a tent and go like sleep outside in the tent at night.
That would be me. Yeah, I'm good.
I'll take the Bears versus the Ghosts any day of the week.
So let's talk about gear. So, because I know a lot of my audience are fellow music nerds, and I don't personally know a whole lot about gear, but I know some people love to nerd out on that. So if you guys can talk about like your instruments that you use and
Sure.
some fun.
I'll start so I
Fun
don't
gear
forget
stuff.
what I use. 'Cause that
Something,
just hit me.
Tone Master.
Yeah, so I use a FMT Telecaster sometimes a Fender Telecaster American Deluxe. Yeah. I run that through the Tone Master pedal, and I splice a Mesa amp and then separately a Princeton and like blend it together. So I can get some of
Nice.
those like heavy distortions. There's all kinds of. I barely scratched the surface of that thing. So I just built something quickly that worked, and then I run it through a Blues Deluxe Fender amp. So that's about it. Sometimes I play acoustic on just breathing. Sometimes I play electric, the telly. It just depends on the day.
Whatever you're feeling.
I keep it pretty simple. I run it through. I've got my amp as a Blues Deluxe. It was either that or a twin reverb, and that thing sounds phenomenal. And then my guitar, it's a Telly. Go figure. It's a Nashville Deluxe by Fender. And then I keep it pretty simple on pedals. I have some delay. I've got some reverb, and I've got an overdrive for when I want to get a little crunchy. So
Yeah.
But I mean, all in all, it's those Fender guitars and amps do a lot of the legwork. So you can literally just play it just clean, and it sounds phenomenal.
Yeah.
So it sounds great.
And I couldn't tell you what pedals I'm using. I just drag distortion, drop, drag. It's very easy to use. This is not a plug for the Tone Master, but Fender, if you're listening, take some free gear.
Yeah, we're playing a bunch of Fender stuff.
Yeah, well, not me. I got I go back and forth between like, do I do a P bass or do I use the Stingray? So I've got a Music Man Stingray Special, which I
beautiful,
like because
by the way.
Oh yes, thank you very much. They put out, and I think in 2018 or 2019, like Stingrays were always kind of notorious for being very heavy.
Yeah.
So the Stingray Specials came out and they made them a bit lighter. So I traded in an old Spectre that I had, got this, absolutely loved it. So
And it's sparkly.
and it's sparkly. So the Stingray's winning the battle against the P bass for right now. But P bass is
You
always
can't
a
go
fighter.
wrong with a P bass.
Yeah. And then I just to save my back, I bought a Mark bass cabinet because it's about 70 pounds lighter than the Ampeg I was using previously.
Yeah.
So I got a nice light cabinet, and then I run an Ampeg DI pedal. So that's really just, I use that for the same tone that I
Yeah.
got from my amp before, and just run it into a neutral power amp.
I've got a mix of old and new. So that Gretsch is a Gretsch Catalina Club. I love it. I have always loved it. I got it in 2008, I think, and it was like the first big purchase I made for like trying to get serious with music.
Yeah.
And so I'm so glad to like be playing that live now, because I'm like kind of picking up where the original intent was. So
Beautiful.
that I've had forever. I love it. And then I've got finally a reason to invest in some cymbals recently. So I just bought
They're so expensive.
I just bought the goal is to break even, by the way. That's one of the it's a pair of a set of Zildjian K Suites. Shout out Kristen.
Nice.
And then at home, I've got a Roland V-drum set. So I hadn't been able to play acoustics for a while because I got a house and we had our daughter, and it just didn't work out well. And my wife had a studio, like we just didn't have the space for a full kit. And so I ended up going through a couple of different Roland kits, which have, let me keep playing. I'm back and forth on acoustic versus electric, but there's a lot of utility in being able to play otherwise you couldn't kind of scenario. So that Roland kit's one of the newer V drums that's got all mesh heads, and so it's really responsive, but I'm definitely battling kind of live feel versus
finding that
not.
sweet spot.
Yeah. And something else too, Nick mentioned we kind of met in the middle with like really liking like deadened drum sounds. Kind of almost like a throwback to like warm jazz kits a little bit. So I've got Big Fat Snare company makes, they're called tortillas, but on the top of all my heads now I've got like cloth dampeners that just fit on the whole head, and I really like that sound right now.
Do you have like a favorite brand of sticks or whatever that you use?
Vic Firth is just what I have.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not emotionally invested in any of them yet.
You familiar with the? I've heard them pronounce a head, and I've heard them pronounce a head.
The metal ones.
The metal ones.
Someone gave me a pair of those in high school, and I thought they were
broke a pair
so
in high
damn cool.
You broke some metal
unbreakable
sticks?
lifetime warranty when they first came out.
Yeah,
I snapped them in half.
I got them when I
Wow.
was like heavy into Metallica at the time. Like one of my first musical endeavors was like a Metallica cover band, basically.
Nice.
Wow.
And someone gave me a pair of those heads, and I think they were like signature by Lars or something.
Wow.
But they had like the whole novelty, at least when I got, and this is 2008 or 7 or 6 or whatever. They had like replaceable nylon heads.
Yeah.
Wow.
Tips. And which I never
I chipped
replaced.
mine
I don't know where they
all the
are
time.
now. I don't know what happened to those sticks, but I thought that was just so cool. If I ever need to replace these tips, and now it's 20 years later, and I haven't thought about it until just now.
Well, I remember on several occasions, because when I started playing drums, I played rough. I played rough and raw. Like I didn't understand, depth of room and
Sure.
all that jazz. So like I was going through sticks like crazy. So that's why I got the heads or the A heads or whatever. And I go to Pinkston's music shop, which I would shout them out, but they're closed down. And the dude was dumbfounded. He was just like, we've had these out for like 2 years. I've never had anyone come in here and break the. I was like, lifetime warranty, right? And he's like, yeah. I was like, okay, I'll just you can stop talking. You can just give me the new sticks.
Well, I haven't until recently. I didn't have to get new sticks because I played on electric kit for like the last 10 years, and I have just had the same pair of sticks forever because they don't chop up or anything on the rubber, cymbals or whatever.
Do you tend to play harder when you're like, we're all being loud now too than you normally would when you're electric kid at home?
I do have a thinner set of sticks too. I'll use a heavier set of. I don't remember the sizing, but I'll use a heavier set on the electric kit to get better response.
Yeah.
And then play as hard as I need to with a lighter set on the acoustics, but. No one gives a shit about that. I'm the only one that is going to notice that, and it's just like for me to feel like I'm doing it right.
Yeah.
Hey man, drummers care. That's a fact.
So Ben, what about? Do you ever play with a pick or no pick? Or does it change?
It changes. Just kind of how I did previously. I was like, it depended on the song.
Yeah.
So generally, if there was any kind of faster stuff where I needed to gallop or whatever, I would revert to a pick just because I've been out of practice for a while.
Yeah.
But for our stuff, I've been sticking to more finger style. It just hasn't, with the gear that I'm running now, I'm getting enough cut out of playing with the bass and the amp and everything I have now where I don't feel like I need the pick to give it that extra cut through a mix. So if we get to a point where I feel like I'm not cutting through enough, I'll probably throw a pick on there.
Yeah.
That's really
That makes
what it
sense.
is.
Do y'all have like favorite types of picks or anything?
Yeah, I do.
The green Dunlop Tortex.
That's what I was.
That's it for me.
I was gonna say that. I play bass too, and that's been my go-to for years is the green Tortex. I recently tried out the orange ones though.
I do the yellows for guitar, green for bass. That's,
Nice.
I go back and forth between these Jim Dunlops, the gray ones and the lighter gray ones.
I love the
that I can
gray
only
Jim
play with.
Dunlop.
There's
I can only play with
Yeah.
nothing better than getting a pack of those new green Tortex and still got the little powdery. God damn.
Oh my gosh. Yes, I love that new pick feeling. It's the best. What is y'all's recording process? Like, where have you guys been recording so far, and how do you go about doing that?
Here in Mobile.
yeah, shout out to Matt D'Amico.
Yeah.
Matty Mix Productions.
Nice.
In unison, everyone.
Yeah, he's been awesome to work with.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, he worked with was it Integrity for quite some
I think
time.
so, yeah. Back when they were
Integrity,
Mobile.
Yeah, back when they were Mobile. So,
Yeah.
and that guy's been awesome to work with. He's recorded all of our stuff, and the stuff we have on Spotify now, he did, and the stuff that isn't on Spotify, he did.
Also, just a super nice guy.
Yeah.
Very cool guy.
So I'd pay to hang out with him. Yeah, and then so we're still kind of figuring that out. But for what we've got already out and published, the electric kit that I use makes it really easy because I get infinite takes and I just output a MIDI
Nice.
file, and then we kind of sit down together and map out the tones and the kit sounds that we want. So that kind of has worked well and is a time saver too.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we'll keep going that direction or if it makes sense to kind of mic up an acoustic kit or not. But
How'd you guys get linked up with him?
When I wrote the first acoustic song after 10 years and was like, I want to record this, I reached out to Drew Ray. Used to play music together, and he did some recording with some bands historically, and he's like, well, I don't know if I can't remember if he's like not doing it as much now. I think that was the case. And he's like, but hey, this guy, reach out to him. He's great. And so I just shot him a message, and he's like, I record at my house in Mobile, and yeah, what time? He's just like, here's the rate. And the first time recording with him, I was like, look, just like you mic me or whatever, tell me what to do. But he's very great. He's good at leading and kind of, he's a huge fan too, by the way, of like making it more real than, super polished. I mean, it's polished, but it's like, he like almost won't allow me to do a bunch of vocal takes. 'Cause he's like, well, that take you just did, like, that's your emotions. So we want to use that. And if I ask, he'll let me, but I'm like, no, you're right. So he's been easy to work with, and he'll just sit there and mix and work his magic like 2 seconds after you track. Honestly, it's kind of weird.
That's awesome.
that might be the trade-off for me, is that I'll just spend 1,000 takes until I dial it in, this the one, then email it off.
Yeah.
Versus like doing it live and I don't know, maybe capturing some more emotion than just trying to hit it technically.
So you guys have one single out, Just Breathing, that you released on September 4th, and then Inside My Mind. So when do you think you guys are going to release that, or do you know yet?
I don't think we have.
Let's decide right now.
Yeah, let's
Where's my
decide
calendar?
right now. Yeah,
Let us know down in the comments when we should release this.
It's pretty much ready to go.
Yeah, it really is.
Let's call it November 1st, or wait, what do you guys
Why
think?
don't we align it with our show? When are we playing? 25th?
That may be
25th.
too soon.
Just-
You could announce it at your show, like
yeah, so
we're
next week.
releasing
Let's say
it
the first.
next week or
November
whatever.
1st.
November
we'll do that.
1st.
November
We've been
1st.
piddling
All right.
with the dates.
All right, you gotta
we have-
stick to that because that's my boy's birthday.
November 1st. Well, that's when we'll put it out.
And by the way, like, I love that you guys have the lyrics to your song on Spotify. Because, like, most of the time, people, when they just start out, like, when the bands are just starting out, they don't have the lyrics. And I have, like, auditory processing issues. So sometimes I can't focus. And, like we watch everything with subtitles.
I'm the same.
So when I saw lyrics, I was like, oh, yes. Because usually when bands are just starting out, they never have the lyrics on Spotify. It's just like about the artist or whatever. And I was so happy when I saw that.
Well, thank you. That was it's only like a $10 fee or something. I mean,
yeah.
So you just got to sit there and type it.
Yeah.
Depending on what distribution service you're
process.
using, they'll charge a small little.
Nick is a champion for accessibility.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you. It's just I think most of the time it's like, oh man, I got to sit there and type. And I'm like, then you have to go back and listen to it. It's like, wait, I sing it naturally. I'm like, what do I say? You're listening, you're like typing. So maybe that's why some artists don't. They're like, I'll get to it.
For my own band, I would be the one uploading the stuff, and I never knew all the words to all of our songs. So I'd have been like, well, never mind. We're just going to get this done right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I sing it live, and I'm singing all the consistent words. But when I uploaded the lyrics, I did have to kind of go. And for the acoustic stuff I did before this, it was kind of like, no, play it, because it has to come out a certain way. So you have to sit there and listen. So,
did you want to ask your
Yeah.
deserted island?
So, you guys familiar with the movie The Green Room?
Heard of
Yeah.
it? But
With
Anton. And
Yeah, I think I
Patrick
heard
Stewart.
about-
Sir
yeah.
Patrick Stewart. Excuse me. Sorry. Shout out to Sir Patrick Stewart. He's still kicking. So, in the movie, they get asked a question, and it is such an insignificant moment in the film, grand scheme, but it was so I loved it. So I wanted to ask you guys the same question. You're stuck on an island, rescue's coming, but you're going to be stuck there for a while. You got one band that you have access to. Doesn't matter if it's what are they called? Power bands? When people join up and...
Supergroups?
Supergroups. Yeah. It can be a supergroup, it can be anything, it just has to be one band.
okay. I'll go first, so it's right off site. So am I the only one on the island?
You were the only one on the island.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm going early November because I've been stuck on an island with them technically before because the CD was stuck in my Ford Focus, and I didn't get sick of it. And I just saw them live at Furnace Fest, and it was great. And so if I'm stuck by myself, I'm gonna be sad. So I want to indulge in those sad feelings. I'm gonna want something to sing along to. So it's gonna be early November.
Okay.
The room's too cold.
Right on.
Okay, so we said band, right? Just a song.
Okay.
Okay, so as far as that goes,
You can include a song if you want. Mike.
oh no, it's going to be 2 albums actually, back-to-back albums. So the way I grew up in a very religious household. One thing I was told when growing up was I can listen to whatever I want. One of my parents told me this. I can listen to whatever I want, but I cannot listen to anything metal. And that was because it just, it was kind of almost like a satanic thing, almost like back. And this is a long time ago. Well, what did I do? I started gravitating towards that stuff. One of the first bands as a kid I remember listening to that really started pushing me a long time ago was Linkin Park.
Oh my gosh.
Man, Linkin Park.
I remember your obsession with Linkin Park.
Oh man, those guys.
I love them so much.
Hybrid Theory and Meteora.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All around, those guys were super, super influential on me. So yeah, if I'm on an island and and I got to get with one band, it's those guys.
Yeah.
Those guys have. I got a lot of bands, but overall, I'm a new metal kid at heart. So,
Yes.
Linkin Park for me.
That's a good one.
What you been?
It would have to be Coheed and Cambria, man. That would be it. Their whole catalog front to back, I can just listen to it. So if I'm stuck on the island for a long time, for me, it's all hits, no misses. So I could just roll from front to back.
Just be like, hey, rescue people, just hold off a little while.
Yeah.
Let me check out this discography.
I would want something that's no skips, and that's them for me.
Yeah.
Nice.
I would think about bringing the Lonely Island just for the joke. It would only be me, so I'd go, nice, and then be done with it.
Yeah. And then you would be pulling your hair out. When will it stop?
Because I'm not on a boat. I want to be.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm just sitting on the beach. I'm on a boat.
Rocking back and forth. What about you, Dustin?
I think I'm gonna go Modest Mouse, to be honest with you. Just because they were so formative for me. It's out of the scope of our current project, obviously, but they have such a huge backlog, and I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for nostalgia, and
Me
I just
too.
spent so many hours of my life just consuming that. So if we're gonna wallow in emo feels and nostalgia, it's probably gonna be that.
Nice. What about you, Em?
I think we
Nice.
know.
Yeah, Radiohead.
We all know, if you've listened to my podcast before, or if you know me at all, you know it's Radiohead.
I had to.
Anything
But what about the Deftones?
Radiohead.
thought you were gonna
I love Deftones too, but Radiohead, anything Radiohead or Radiohead adjacent, like Tom York solo stuff, The Smile. I can listen to it all day, every day. I've been listening to it for like 22 years. I mean, since I was like 12 years old. Never gotten tired of it. Every single day. Pretty much every day at some point, I'm going to be listening to Radiohead or something.
Every day.
Something that Tom York has done or whatever. What about you, Dusty?
Oh, I was literally asking you just so you would say Radiohead. Okay, I'll go totally left field here. I wouldn't listen to any of the ones that I would want to listen to. I would listen to one that I would want to listen to that's not in my normal. It's like a hit and miss thing with me. It's like special occasions, and that's Molchat Doma. Yeah, which is if you guys aren't familiar, it's a Russian. They're a Russian band that I don't even know what genre.
It's almost like old goth music
Yeah, it's like
from like
old
the
80s
early
synth
90s,
goth
late
type stuff.
80s.
Like Dance Under a Bridge
Like,
guy
Yeah.
and stuff.
You know, it's like
Yeah.
if you ever see the reel or on the social medias where it's like the bat's upside down, they're right side up, but they're upside down, they're dancing.
I think it's the Molchat
Doma's
Doma
music.
song in that.
It's like
yeah.
it's all that. Yeah, I would just put that on loop and just walk around the island,
Yeah.
wiping my ass with banana leaves and eating coconuts.
Sounds like a good time.
That's awesome.
Well, this has been a really fun conversation, and I really wanted to have you guys and kind of introduce the world to y'all.
It's been a great opportunity. I appreciate the hospitality.
Yeah, I appreciate
And the
you guys
interest.
doing this.
And thank you for helping us decide our release date.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Putting us on the spot. We just need that.
Yeah, you're
We
welcome.
needed someone to make us accountable.
Suddenly, starting to feel this again. I can't breathe, and everything closes in. I know gray sky will pass by, but it's just been a long time since we have felt fine. See you on the other side, lose ourselves again. But it feels like it's the last time. Started thinking, what if there's more to this than just breathing? If you want me to come with you, this wouldn't be the end. Started thinking, what if there's more to this than just bleeding? If you want me to come with you, this wouldn't be the end. Complacency has its way of setting in. Not everything good has to come to an end. But it feels like it's the last time. Started thinking, what if there's more to I cannot take this all in stride. I don't feel alive. I might drink till I drown. Pass out face down. She won't live tonight. She won't live inside my mind. She won't live tonight. She won't live inside my mind. Why can't I just take some time? Lay on the ground, stare at the sky. I'll be fine. She won't live tonight. She won't live inside my mind. She won't live tonight. She won't live inside my mind. Everything you say cuts like a razor blade. I can't look into your eyes 'cause of all the shade. Drink away those nights and all the games you played. Just drink enough to convince yourself. Everything you say cuts like a razor blade. I can't look into your eyes. Drink away those nights and all the games you played. Drink enough to convince yourself. Should've stayed. Should've stayed. She won't live tonight. She won't live inside my mind. She won't live tonight. She won't live inside my mind.
Thank you for joining me on my Sonic Seekers journey. All episodes are currently recorded at Dauphin Street Sound in Mobile, Alabama. Big thanks to them for always providing professional quality recording and hospitality, and a cozy environment for me and my podcast guests. They are amazing to work with, and they have recorded some legendary artists at their studio. Huge thanks to my good friends, the Jollies, out of Satsuma, Alabama, for composing and recording the Sonic Seekers intro music. All I told them was that I wanted something dreamy and shoegazy, and they churned out the most beautiful masterpiece I could have imagined. I'm honored to call them friends, and I'm always amazed at how talented and creative they are, and versatile. Thank you to Shane Filan for his top-notch editing skills. And most of all, thank you for listening to my passion project, Sonic Seekers. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord turn his face toward you and give you shalom.